Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hail to thee, my dear students. I am Muhammad Habibur Rahman, lecturer, Department of English at Joshua Government City College, Joshua. Would like to welcome to you all with the language of Percy Bysshe Shelley, on whose poem Ode to a Skylark I am going to deliver a lecture. My dear student, you know this is an online video lecture or class that has been organized by National University of Bangladesh for you. And as a research person, I am continuously with you with this online study program. Hopefully, during this corona pandemic, maintaining the health rules, you are continuing your study, staying at home. So all the best for all. So let's start our today's discussion. So my dear student, you have already known that I am dealing with the course that is called Romantic Poetry. This is very important course on your syllabus, and you know this class is for the especially the student of Masters Preliminary level and who are studying Department of English. And you know, in my previous class, I conducted a class on Kubla Khan, and today I am going to lecture on Percy Bysshe Shelley, and the poem name is To a Skylark. So at first, I will show you the learning outcome. So in learning outcome, you will find introduction the poet, the Percy Bysshe Shelley, and the poem To a Skylark or Ode to a Skylark. And then you will find the text of the poem, summary and subject matter, theme of the poem, former writing style of the poem, speciality of the poem, and NU. At last you will find NU question analysis. And I think after completing this lecture, and if you follow the lecture attentively, you will be able to understand all the topics I am showing here. So before going to discuss our main discussion, it is essential to know about the poet. So this is the introduction to the poet. So today's poet, you know, Percy Bysshe Shelley. Percy Bysshe Shelley was one of the major English romantic poets, you know, and widely regarded as one of the greatest lyric and philosophical poets in the history of English language. You know, Shelley is best known for his classical poems such as Ozymandias, Ode to the West Wind. You know, in your first year, you have read Ode to the West Wind. That is very philosophical and that is very famous poem. And today, I'm going to discuss on To a Skylark or Ode to a Skylark. And you know, especially Shelley is famous for revolutionary poet and in modern history of romantic age, and he is considered to be among the finest lyrical poets of the English language. So this is the birth and death year. Now I should show you the introduction to the poem. So you have already heard the name of the poem today, To a Skylark or Ode to a Skylark, that is written by Percy Bysshe Shelley. You know, in this poem you will have a 21 stanza. A total you will find 105 lines, and basically it is an ode. So what is ode? Ode actually ode is one kind of poem or short poem or lyric poem, and that is written for addressing someone or something in celebration or appreciation or dedication. So here also you will find address to whom? Address to Skylark. So this is the lyric poem. Here you will find a very rhythmic and your song like, actually it is a song like poem. There is a rhyme at the end of the poem, and it is very much uniform or formal lyric poem. So in the poem, especially you will find a small songbird, and here he believed embodied joy and happiness. Actually, Skylark is a joy, full of joy and symbol of joy and happiness. And the Skylark song surpasses all music and it is a divine expression, an idea beyond the reach of humans who know happiness only through sadness. So human beings. So this is the human beings. We human beings, as a human being, we know happiness only through sadness. But in case of Skylark, it is not. Skylark songs surpasses all the music, and it is the Skylark is the symbol of happiness and joy. There is no sadness about Skylark. So such type of idea we will find after going through the text. So this is the simple introduction to the poem. Now I will show you the formal writing style of the poem. So I have already told you that this is the very unconventional or untraditional song-like poem actually, and to a Skylar. And here you will find 5 lines stanza and 21 stanza. I have already told. And in every stanza, your first 4 lines are metered into trochaic tetrameter. Trochaic, stress and unstressed syllable. Trochaic is such type of things. There you will find stress and unstressed syllable. So this is the foot, stress and unstressed syllable. And 3 meter, 3 foots. So 3 meters consist of 3 feet. And there you will find stress and unstressed, that is called trochaic syllable. And then the fifth line is iambic hexameter. Iambic, unstressed and stressed. Trochaic is stress and unstressed syllable, and in iambic you will find unstressed and stressed syllable. And the fifth line will be hexameter. Hexameter. There you will find 6 feet. Okay, so all the 21 stanza will be like this. So this is very much interesting and very much uniform and very formal writing, I think. And this is the specialty of the poem. And the rhyme scheme of each stanza is extremely simple, and that is A, B, A, B, B. So all the stanzas follows this rhyme scheme pattern. So that is why this is like a classical writing or classical poem. There is a uniformity, and everywhere you will find a uniform writing style. So that is why the poem is special, and also it has the special theme as well, side by side the writing style. So now I will show you the background of the poem. Here the poet's approach to this singing verse is fervently romantic. So this is the romantic idea. Here you will find, romantic, the imaginative idea. And the Shelley took inspiration from the natural world, basically. This is the inspiration of writing this poem, so natural world, and believing it to be an expression of the divine. And in fact, he was inspired to write the poem after a country walk in Italy one evening with his second wife, Mary. So this is the source, this is the background of the poem. So I should in a hurry because I cannot help going through the text because it is a very interesting. So I will try to go through all the lines, that is 105 lines. So hopefully you will be with me, and I think you will enjoy it. So this is the first line, this is the line number, and the first stanza, and this is the second stanza. So at first you will find the first line, hail to thee. At the very beginning, today unconventionally I says hail to thee. So here hail to thee, that means this is the language of Parsi Shelley. So hail to thee means welcome to you. So welcome, hail, welcome to you. So this is the addressing. So this is an ode, and addressing someone. So addressing for whom? Addressing for the Skylark. So hail to thee, welcome to you, blithe spirit, or the cheerful spirit. Spirit, that is the divine thing. So Skylark is like a divine animal or divine things. And bird, thou never aware. You are not a bird that from heaven, who comes from heaven or near it. Purest thy full heart in profuse strains of unpredictable art. So here the writers, the very first stanza, and here addressing Skylark, and Skylark is a bird of heaven. It is not the real or the natural bird, but bird of heaven. And pure is thy full heart, and he's a bird of joy, you know, bird of joy, the blithe spirit. So this is the bird of joy and happiness. And in profuse strain, you have a profuse, a deep strains of unpredicted, un, uh, unpremeditated art. Here, unpremeditated, you know, the word meditate, meditate, and premeditate and unpremeditated. So this is the word means the spontaneous, you know, so that is not ready in before. So this is the spontaneous or instinctive art. So Skylark, you have the instinctive art that is profuse strain, and thy heart is full of profuse strain of unpredicted, that is spontaneous art, your beauty. So that is why I hail to thee, I welcome you. So this is the first line, very first line. This is the symbol, you know, it's a picture. And the next stanza, second stanza. Higher still and higher from the earth thou springest, like a cloud of fire. This is the image. The blue deep thou wingest, and singing still thou soar, and soaring ever singest. So here the writer says that you flies, that is Skylark. So you fly higher, still and higher. From the earth thou springest, and like a cloud. So here you will find the simile, you know. So in the poem you will find the abandon of simile, use of simile. So here in this poem, you know, simile, you know, this is the comparison between two different things. So here you will find that Skylark is compared to various type of things. So here compared with cloud of fire. This is the image, cloud of fire. So Skylark is like cloud of fire. The blue deep thou wingest. The blue deep, you know, that suggests the sky. And singing is still thou soar. Your singing is soar, and soaring ever singest. So you are higher with singing, and higher ever singest. So this is the very happy bird and happy things, you only flies in the sky. So now I will show you the next stanza. So this is the line. In the golden lighting lightening of the sunken sun, over which clouds are brightening. Thou dost float and run like an unbodied joy whose race is just begun. So in this stanza, you will find the skylark is compared to the golden lightening of sunken sun here. You know, so actually the cloud. The golden lightening of sunken sun, you know, sunken sun means this is the sun of rising sun, or that rises in the east. So here the golden lighting. So that time when the sun rises or sunken, so that times that you will find the golden lightning, and over which clouds are brightening. And this the light is compared here to Skylark's song. So thou dost float and run like an unbodied joy. So here in Skylark, the writer Percy Shelley found the unbodied joy. Unbodied joy, you means unbodied, that is the profound joy, that is heavenly or the divine joy, and whose race is just begun. So from the very beginning of the morning, so the race of the skylark begins. So this is the very interesting uh, simile or comparison or metaphor. And then the pale purple even melt around thy flight like a star of heaven in the broad daylight. Thou art unseen, but yet I hear thy shrill delight. So this is the another imagery and another metaphor here. Here the skylark is compared to a star of heaven. So here this is the pale purple even. Even actually the word even suggests the evening. So pale purple, the color of the evening here melt around thy flight. So with the flight of or with the flying of skylar, the color of evening melts around, and it is like a star of heaven. You know, star, there are a lot of stars in the sky. So heaven means here sky, and in the broad daylight, even in broad daylight, there is a sky, there is a star, there are stars in the sky, and thou art unseen. But you know, when at daylight, of course, there are a lot of stars in the sky, but for the broad daylight, we cannot see the star. But we know there is a hidden star in the sky. So like that, here the art of Skylark also unseen, but yet I hear thy shrill delight. So actually here writer says that we cannot see the skylark, but we can see, or we can feel uh, the song, or the song of delight, delightfulness found in the skylark. So this is the very interesting comparison or metaphor. So time is very short, so I need to be hurry. Then you find keen as are the arrows of the silver spear, whose intense lamp narrows in the white down clear until we hardly see, we feel that it is there. So here also you will find the silver spear whose intense lamp narrow. So here the silver spear, this is the light of moon, and whose intense lamp narrow in the white dawn clear. So when the dawn, that is the morning, so early in the morning, after the night, all the night, actually the moon shines or sheds its bright or silver light that is keen as the arrow. But when the dawn comes, so that times the intense lamp or the light of the moon narrows, so until we hardly see, we feel that it is there. But here the writer says that in the broad daylight, we cannot see the moon, but we know, we can feel the presence of moon. So here the writers compares the moon with to skylark. So this is very another outstanding metaphor. And all the earth and air with thy voice is loud, as when night is bare from one lonely cloud. The moon rains out her beams, heaven is overflowed. So here also you will find the excellency of skylark. So thy voice, the voice of skylark is very loud, and for the voice and all the earth and air. So everywhere we heard the voice of skylark, and night is bare from the lonely cloud. Even in lonely cloud, then moon rains out her beams, heaven is overflowed. So uh, with the task of song of skylark, so moon's rains her beams, that is light, and shedding her lights, and heaven is overflowed with the task of, or with the voice of skylark. Now, in the next line, what thou art we know not, what thy most like thee. From rainbow clouds there floats not, is a rainbow cloud, and drops so bright to see, as from thy presence showers of rain of melody. So, what thou art we know. So here, writer says the skylark, you have the art, but we do not know. We are unable to know or find out your art, and what is the most like thee, and with whom I can compare you. I don't know. So how here the writer says that the skylark has a lot of art or lot of excellency, but as a human beings we have the limitation, and that is why we do not know with whom we should, or with to whom we should compare skylark. So this is the limitation of human imagination or human intellectuality. And rainbow cloud, here, and drop so bright to see. So your light or light is so bright that we cannot see, as from thy present showers of rain of melody, and your presence showers the rain of melody. So in the rain, shower of rain, there is a melody, and the melody is compared to the song of skylark. So like a poet hidden in the light of thought, singing hymns unbidden, till the world is wrought to sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not. So this is important stanza here. Here the skylark is compared to a poet, the thought of a hidden poet. But here actually the writer says that you are like a poet hidden. So in a poet there is a hidden intellectuality or hidden thought. But as a human, as we are the general people, or the world is not do not does not recognize his hidden power. So here also we are unable to recognize the thought or the intellectuality of the skylark like poet. And till the world is wrought or destroyed, uh, so like poet, also skylark also will be permanent till the world is destroyed. And to sympathy with hopes and fear, he did not. And finally, the people from the general people of the world, the poet can get the sympathy. So here the writer uh, compare compares skylark to the poet, the condition of poet. The next stanza, like the high brown maiden in a palace tower, soothing her love laden soul in secret hour, with music sweet as love, which overflows her bower. So this is the maiden, high brown maiden. So here the stanza is very much romantic, full of romance. Here the writer, this is the very much imaginary, and the scholar is like a high brown maiden. And high brown maiden, what does she do? So she actually in a palace tower, the hidden place, and soothing her love or giving her love laden soul in a secret hour, in a very secret way and a privacy way, with music sweet as love. So which overflows our word. So like this, like a high brown maiden, skylark also gives us love or gives us secrets hour and sweets. But though the high-born maiden gives her love in secret way, but that is overflowed her bower. So like this, Skylark's song uh, always overflows our area, overflows our hidden privacy. Another, like a glow-worn golden in a dale of dew, scattering unbeholden its aerial hue among the flowers and grass which screen it from the view. So here the writer find the metaphor or simile. We this is the simile actually, like a uh, glown worm, worm that is lightening, that gives light. So worms, this is the glown worms golden. So here skylark is compared to this glow worm that gives the golden light in the tail of dew, and skirting unbeholden, though we cannot see the gold worm physically, but we can see the light of her or his. So here also we cannot see the skylark, but we can hear the song of skylark. So this is like that. Now, next lines, like a rose embowered in its own green leaves by warmth wind, the flowers till the scent it gives makes faint with too much sweet those heavy wings uh, types. So here the another simile, skylark is compared to a rose, the rose, but that is inboard. Inboard means here covered. So when rose is covered with green leaves, but it gives the scent. It gives the scent and makes the faint too much sweet those heavy wings types. And even the scent of, though we cannot see the rose covered by green leaves, but we can smell the scent, and the scent makes faint the air with too much sweet heavy wings type. So here heavy wings means the deepness of the air. So the scent is intermingling with the uh, presence of air. So here like this. So here also rose or imbued rose or covered rose compared to skylark. A sound or vernal showers on the twinkling grass, rain awakened flowers, all that ever was joyous and clear, fresh thy music does surprise. So here also find another important comparison. So shower, rain or twinkling grass. So a shower, when rain falls on the twinkling grass, and rain awaken the flowers, and all the event was joyous. So when rain drops on the grass, so there you will find the joyous and clear and fresh music. But here writer says thy music, thy means the skylark. So music of skylark, so does surprise. So everything, every sound or every music will be covered by the sound of skylark. So that is why it is superior to any other things. So another important stanza, teach us, spirit or bird, what sweet thought are thine? I have never heard praise of love or wine that pants forth a flood of rapture so divine. So here writer directly uh, wants to have the teaching from the skylark, and skylark has the sweet thought, and so writer appeals or praise or request the skylark to teach us and give us the thought that you have. And I have never heard the praise or love of wine. So, your love or praise that comes from food of rapture so divine. So such type of rapture or happiness that you have, skylark, I never found or never heard. So that is why please teach us. Chorus hymeneal, chorus hymeneal or triumphal chant matched with thine would be all but an empty vault, a thing wherein we feel there is some hidden word. So another important stanza here, the writer says chorus. You know chorus, that is a singing group, and hymnals, this is the song of marriage, actually marriage party, so hymnals, this is the group song. Or triumphant chant, a trump, trump, that is victory, so victory song, so victory song that matched with thine. So the song of marriage ceremony or the victory song, so everything we can match with you but an empty vocal. So here writer says, if we match or if we intermingling the song of skylark with the marriage ceremony song or the victory song, so everything that will be empty vocal. So other song or other things will be empty but or meaningless to the song of skylark. This is very interesting, and wherein we feel there is some hidden one. So in such type of song will be worldly song will be very much hidden to one, but we may have the full complete satisfaction if we have the song of skylark. The next, what objects are the fountains of thy happy strain? What fields or waves or mountain? What shapes of sky or plain? What love of thine one kind? What ignorance of pain? So this is the question. So series of question here. So here the writer Percy Shelley asks the scholars that what object are fountain are thy happy stand. So where do you find your happy strain, and from where, which field or what waves or what mountain or where, from where you can get such type of happy thing, and what shape of sky or plane. So and such type of shape, from where you get skylark. So writer here asks the skylark, and what love of thine own kind, and such type of love that you have, such type of beauty you have, so from where uh, can you find it? So ask, the writer asks the skylarks, because it is absence of human being. The last sentence is very important. The last sentence, what ignorance of pain. So here the writer says, how will you be able to free from pain or avoid your pain? As a human being, we cannot avoid our pain, but you skylark, you can avoid or ignore your pain. So how? So this is the question of the poet to skylark, so that as a poet or as a person or as a human being, he can avoid his miseries. So with a clear keen joyance, longers cannot be shadow of annoyance never come near thee. Thou lovest, but near new love sad society. So here also this is very important. Here you find that writer says the skylark, you clear keen joyance. So you have the joyance, you have the joyous, you have the happiness, and luggers cannot be, and you have no lungers. Lungers means here the laziness or the idleness. There is no idleness or laziness to you. And shadow of annoyance. Annoyance, you know, anger. So anger is the it's a very bad quality of human being. But writer says the skylark, you do not have any anger. So how? Never come near thee. There is no anger or any annoyance or jealousy to you. So thou lovest, so, but never knew love's sad society. And but you do not know how much sad society we have as a human beings. So from where you have get such type of quality? So this is the question of Skylar. And then walking or as slaves, thou of death must deems things more true and deep than we mortal dream. And how could thy notes flow in such a crystal stream? So another question. So walking or sleeping, everywhere you have the true deep. So true deep of death. You have the idea of death must deem, and things more true and deep. So about death, we are very much pessimistic, or we are very much depressed. But to Skylark, about death, there is a another consideration things, and Skylark knows more about death that is true and deep than we moral mortal dream. So as a human being, we do not know the true sense of death, but Skylarks know. So this is the very important. And we look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tells of the saddest thoughts. So this is the most important lines of the poem. This is the actually it is like a proverbs. So here writer says, we look before and after, we have the past and future, you know, and pine for what is not. So we have the frustration. As a human being, we have the frustration. And you know, our sincere laughter, we have the laughter, we have the smile in our face, but with some pain in front. But we have a pain behind our face or behind our laughter. And you know, our sweetest song are those that tells of saddest thought. Actually, this line is very much interesting. This is the epigram. There is a satirical or the hidden meaning. So our the song that will be very much sweet, there in which there will be sad. So this is the very much paradoxical the epigrammical lines as well. So here writer says, as a human being, we have the sad, we have the sorrowness, we have the pain, but you do not have. So please give your such type of quality as a human. So time is very limited, but I cannot going through the text. Very interesting. Yet, if we could scorn hate and pride and fear, if we were things born not to shed tears, I know not how thy joy we ever should come near. Better than all measures of delight sound, better than all treasures that in books are found. Thy skill to poet were thou scanners of the ground. So here the writer says that as a human being we have hate or pride or fear, but we are things born. It is the by born we have the hate or pride, but that is why we have the shed the tears, but you do not. So please come to us and give joy. So this is, and here writer says the Skylark, you are better than all measures of delightful sound that we have as a human being. You are better, Skylark, you are better than all treasure that in books are found. So in our books or in our literature, the treasures, you know, or the writings, that is everything, from everything, you are better. Skylark is better than ours as human beings. And thy skill to poet were thou scholar of the ground. And if thy skill is to the poet, so that times the poet will be more better. So as a poet, the writers appeals to Skylark to have its scales. So here the last stanza, teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know, such harmonious madness. From thy lips would follow, the world should listen then, as I am listening now. So this is the most important stanza. Here the writers appeal to Skylar. They please teach me at least your half gladness, not full. So at least you give your half gladness, and that thy brain must know that you have your brain has. So your intellectuality should give at least half, and such harmonious madness. You have the harmonious madness from the my lips would follow. If my lips as a writers, my lips here, the writing of the writer, it suggests the writing of the writers. The world should listen then, and as I am listening now. So this is very important. Time is very limited. So this is the short summary. So here is the summary, the aspirations, and Skylarks basically is a divine entity and a symbol of spiritual and upliftment, represents all the human strive to but cannot never attain, and freedom from the surface and pain of mortal. So I have already discussed the summary. So just you should see it. The idea that birds and songs surpass the limit of existence, and that the birds has an inner knowledge potentially available, humanity and fundamental to the poem, creates the subtle tension. So all 21 stanza I have already discussed. I think time is very limited, so that is why I am in a hurry. So Skylars, so here the critical analysis also, you will find here the idea of what the notions also found here. Skylars is compared, with the heaven through the nature. Skylar actually the speed or the poet hidden in the light of thought. This is the natural metaphor actually to a Skylars, you will find. So I request you to go through the slides. So here the theme, natural beauty. Already in my discussion or description of the poem, you have the idea about the natural beauty and the freedom. So Skylark is free from everything. So I think it will be very much understandable to you if you go through the slides. The inspiration. So I have already found that we have already found that the song of Skylark or the activities of Skylarks always inspiring us. So this is very much inspiral. So this is the theme of inspiration is very important for the in case of Skylark. So another stanza. Significant line I already discussed. Our sweetest song are those that tells of saddest thoughts. So this is the very much ironical and paradoxical, that the song that will be very much sweet, that tells our saddest thought. So here, as a human being, this is the very much irony of fate, but not for the Skylar. Another important line we look before already I have discussed. So you should think it. So now I will show you the question here. Why does Shelley call the skylarks a spirit? So I have already discussed. And from where does the Shelley skylark sings? From the heaven or the near it or the sky. So another, how is the skylark is better than a man? And crystal streams, and we look before and after. What do you mean? So this is the it's a very important question for your examination. I think you will go through these slides. So here another things you will find, so what is meant by the purest dye of heart. I have already discussed your unpremeditated art, unpremeditated, so that is not thinkable before. So this is spontaneous or instinctive art. So skylark has the spontaneous art. And how does skylark fly up in the sky? So flame of fire, so rising towards. So I have already discussed while discussing the theme or going through the theme, going through the text. Why can't we enjoy the pleasures of the present? Our sweetest song are those that tell the saddest thoughts. So this is the what identify figure of speech. This is very important question here. So this is the actually this is the instance of epigram here. So epigrams is a rhetorical device that is a memorable, brief, or interesting and surprising satirical statement. So actually it's a satirical and paradoxical as well, because here you find that that gives the opposite meaning here. So sweetest song but gives the saddest thought. So this is the very much opposite. So like this, if you want to have the happiness, that times you have to go through the sadness. So like this is also called epigram as well. So another question here, I think you will go through the question, and I have already discussed in my reading text. So unbodied joy, the cloud, cloud brings the unbodied joy, I have already discussed about unbodied joy, and unbodied, that is divine joy. So that was the brief question. So now this is the short question. It's very important. Lyric poem. Skylark as a lyric poem. Sorry, that this will be the Shelley actually. So justify Shelley. Sorry, that's for the slide. So Skylark, so this is the broad question you will find. The symbolical or symbolic significance of poetry by Skylark by P.B. Shelley. Write down the critical appreciation of the poem Ode to Skylark by Percy Bysshe Shelley. So this is very important, I think. So this is the source that from where I collect the information from the internet. You can use it, and that's all for today. Actually, today, the poem actually consists of 105 lines, but it is very much impossible for us to go through the text, but the text is very enjoyable and very interesting, so that is why I cannot help going through the text. So hopefully you have enjoyed, and all the best for all, and thank you. Happy learning. Allah Hafiz. See you in the next class.